Hi, Accountability Partners. David Alpert of Mastery Consulting. This will be a fun question for you. It's what should I read? What should you read? People ask me all the time, what do you recommend for me even outside of coaching? How should I improve my skills? How do I, sort of sharpen my skills or my mindset or my tool belt of skills and tools? So let's go through a little short list if that's cool. Some recommendations for you, things to, and by the way, if you're not a reader, heck, just get books on tapes. Go do your Audible or, CD or whatever you do. Okay, let's start with the topic of, elementary business skills. This is going to sound a little silly, but my favorite recommendation for people, for starters, is Who Moved My Cheese by Dr. Spencer Johnson, because the topic really, it's a bit of a parable of a story with mice and men, and it basically teaches the basic lesson of change is good. And for many of you on the opposite end of this video, your problem is you think change is bad. You still fear it. But in order to grow, you have to change. Some of you know one of my favorite expressions is we're all here to change our results, hopefully radically, right? Not incrementally, but radically. But the only way we're going to do it is by first changing our daily activities or habits. Because if you always do what you always did, you always get what you always got. There's no way for you or I to radically change our results without first radically changing what we do each day. Look at what you did yesterday. Was it very similar to what you did 2 years ago on a typical day? Or was it radically different, right? And the whole question is, how do we get ourselves to radically change what we do on a daily basis? And the answer is, it's not about willpower. Willpower is a failed business strategy. It's hopium, as I like to say at best. Willpower relies on the power of your will, and look how far that's gotten you. You're only here when you want to be here. And the whole reason you're not here is because of you. Your best thinking got you here. Your best thinking got you here, not here. So willpower, the power of your will ain't going to work. You need a change of thinking, a change of thinking. If we can radically change your thinking, your assumptions that underlie your activities or habits or behaviors, then we've got hope for a radical change of results. That's why I like to start with Who Moved My Cheese, because it sells the idea of change being necessary or optimal. Okay, let me give you another book on this topic. As a Man Thinketh by the British businessman James Allen. It's a short book, though it's written in Old English, so it might be a little slower to read, even though it's a very short book, right? James Allen, but As a Man Thinketh, was recommended. By the way, John Maxwell's father used to make him read it as a teenager every summer for several years. Tony Robbins claims that that book had a big influence on him in his earlier life. As a Man Thinketh sells the notion that so your thoughts go, thoughts turn into things. The mind of man determines who we become, right? As a man thinketh, so is he. Okay, those are great places to start. How about entrepreneurship in general, or leadership in general? Self-discipline and leadership. I think you can do no better than the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. Maxwell, for me, is the undisputed champ in terms of teaching leadership. In fact, now he's in his, I believe he's 70-ish now, and his mission statement for his life is to develop leaders who develop leaders. He is the teacher of leadership as far as I'm concerned, and he's written dozens of books on this topic, yet his number one bestseller is 21 Irrefutable Laws. So those 21 laws are basically the character attributes of great leaders. Read that or listen to it on tape and reflect on where you are and who you are and which one or two you need to make the most improvement on. Okay, those are great places to start. Where else could you go if you want to improve? How about this one? I also love for leadership. This is a little more old school now. Peter Drucker's book, The Effective Executive. This was written several decades ago. Also a short book on what are the qualities of a great business leader. I think you'll like it a lot. The Effective Executive, which is where I get some of my favorite Druckerisms, if you will, such as do what you do best and outsource the rest. And, basically what it takes to be a great businessman or woman. All right, let's move on to marketing. Many of you know my all-time favorite, Influence, by Robert Cialdini. Cialdini is spelled Cialdini. Robert Cialdini wrote this book about the 6 marketing weapons of influence back in the 1980s. It's called Influence. And what is the definition of a marketing weapon of influence is something that you can do in the sales or marketing process that makes people want to do transactions with you without even realizing why. Psychological tricks of the trade, if you will. Terrific, terrific book. Okay, let's go into the topic of time management. You might want to check out Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Chapter 3, I believe it is, called Do First Things First, is an all-time classic on managing time, and that there's a difference between what's urgent and what's important. What's urgent is time sensitive, yet what's important is truly a high priority in terms of your ultimate goals and dreams. Therefore, we should do less of what's urgent and more of what's important as we go along. Another fun read on time management, which you may enjoy, although some of it's a bit out there, is The 4-Hour Workweek by Timothy Ferriss, Ferriss. And the reason I like The 4-Hour Workweek by Ferriss is not because you can apply everything he does, and I don't agree with everything he says, but it really is the entrepreneur's mindset about time management, which is basically make more, work less. Employ the principles of leverage in order to build your business. How about leverage and delegation and self? Well, you probably could do no better than Jim Collins' famous book, Good to Great. Good to Great by Jim Collins. Good, T-O-G-R-E-A-T, right? By Jim Collins. I believe that's still the all-time American best-selling business book. Now, Collins talks about what makes the great companies different from the good companies, and there's a lot in there about the quality of people you hire, what makes for an exceptional person. Give you a quick tidbit. He claims that the character attributes of the best people, the winners, are number one, that they have an exceptional work ethic, which you can't teach. Number two, that they're intelligent, meaning they can solve problems quickly and think on their feet, which you can't teach. Number three, that they're dedicated to their job, which you can't teach. And number four, that they fit in your culture, which you can't teach. So therein lies the principle of you can't make people great, you can only hire great people. And Collins talks about the hiring and firing process. Another nifty little book on that topic would be The 1-Minute Manager, also by Ken Blanchard. And it talks about how you can macromanage an organization without a whole lot of involvement. How do you keep it simple through 1-minute goal settings, 1-minute praisings, 1-minute reprimands? And by the way, if you like this little short video on some recommended reads or listens, I'll do another one in the near future on some more advanced topics. Hope this was helpful. My question for you is, what one book might you listen to or read in order to improve your entrepreneurial mindset?